Also, Dumbledore was there. So hey guys, happy reading rush day 3. Woo! I'm getting a bit of a late start today with vlogging. It's like 3:30 in the afternoon and I haven't vlogged at all today yet. So that's really fun, but I haven't really read much either. So I had to finish editing yesterday's vlog this morning and then upload it. And I watched Ariel and Raylene's live show and that was really fun while I uploaded it and got some other stuff done. In regards to reading, I ended up finishing To All the Boys I Loved Before last night. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It was the best book I've read so far at this reading rush, although I was like slightly disappointed in it just because like I feel like it's hyped so much and then like I don't know, it just didn't like live up to the expectations for me. I gave it 4 stars. I liked like the middle of it, like which was the largest chunk of it, but the beginning to me was kind of boring and then the ending seemed really abrupt and I don't know, I didn't really enjoy that, but there is like a second book, so that could explain it. And then today, I am starting a new book. I am starting White Rose, Black Forest by Ian Dempsey. I started this one because I feel like it might take me the longest to get through, even though it's shorter than the selection. But the writing is pretty tiny, and from what I've read so far, I'm about 20 pages in. It seems like it is pretty like dry and like heavy to read, so I'm planning on reading maybe half of it today, half of it tomorrow, and then maybe getting one of the short books done today, maybe either The Grown Up or Women in Power. I'm thinking probably Women in Power. As far as White Rose Black Forest, the synopsis is basically it's a historical fiction, takes place in 1943. Yes, 1943. The main character is a woman who like does not support Nazi Germany. She is like anti all of that. She lives in a cabin alone. The Nazis killed her father and her brother. One day she happens upon a fallen pilot in the woods who has 2 broken legs and he's wearing a Luftwaffe uniform, which is like a German uniform. Totally unconscious, won't wake up, but he does say things in English, so she's like, this is weird, why would he be speaking in English? So she ends up taking him back to her cabin. The story goes from there. So I'm pretty intrigued by it. The authors note at the beginning said that it was based off of, like, roughly based off of true events. It says, White Rose Black Forest is inspired by true events, however, certain factual elements and timing of events have been altered for the sake of the narrative, which is really interesting. I love when books are, like historical fiction especially, are based off of actual events that occurred during the time period that they're talking about or during the event that they're focusing on. I'm really interested. I do like the writing is actually really nice. That's pretty much all I have to say right now. I'm planning on reading a little bit more. I have to get some laundry done and then I'm gonna try to get like maybe 100 pages or so down. And yeah, I will let you know when I get further or if I start another book or something. I think it might be a good idea for me to read 2 books at once for this just because I do sometimes read faster when I'm able to take a break from a book and go into another one, and then I feel more refreshed when I come back to it. So I might end up doing that, but I will let you know when I have an update for you. So happy reading! Hey guys! So it is around 6 p.m. I think now? Maybe? I don't know. I actually haven't checked the time in a while. I don't know what time it is. But update, I haven't read that much farther by Rose Black Forest because my friend ended up calling me and we ended up talking for like 3 hours. So, I haven't got much farther. Actually, I mean, I've gotten a decent amount farther. Where was I last time I talked to you at 20 pages? I'm now 75 pages in. So that's like a pretty decent amount. I'm nearing the halfway point. This is like super interesting. I'm really enjoying it. I think something that I found really interesting in the book, which I wanted to share, was this one thing that, so it's narrated by a woman and she grew up in Germany, like being taught the ideals of the Nazi Reich and everything. So I thought this was really an interesting point. So at this part of the story, so her cabin is like off in like a kind of secluded area and she has to go into the city for food. And she says, the streets in this beautiful town, I guess it was a town, not a city, had been made perverted, twisted by the all-encompassing Nazi ideology that it had been impossible to live a rewarding life, particularly for a woman. No woman was allowed to be a doctor, lawyer, civil servant, or judge. Juries were made up only of men. Women could not be trusted to make could not be trusted to make decisions. They were thought too susceptible to being controlled by their emotions. Women weren't allowed to vote. Women were forbidden to wear makeup, color, or perm their hair. Instead, the 3 Ks were drummed into girls from an early age: kinder, which is children; kirka, church; and kuka, which is kitchen. I thought that was really interesting. I feel like in all of the World War II historical fiction that I've read, I've never heard about how German women were treated by the Reich. I never realized how it like affected them as well. I thought that was really interesting, and I thought I'd just point that out. I feel like today's gonna be like a boring vlog. It's just gonna be really low key. The photo challenge for today was to take a picture with your dog or something, or just like a picture of your dog with a book. And so my dog Corbin was actually lying on my bed earlier today, and so he is a gray, he's like kind of black and white, like a gray color, and I just hit myself in the face. So I put him with this book, and I'll put the picture here. It was super cute. So there's like nothing exciting for me to do. There's no shirts for me to cut up, there's no poses for me to take with knives. There's gonna be no sharp objects in this video, and I am disappointed about it. So I don't really know how to spice up this video. But yeah, so this is my 4th book for the reading rush. But yeah, really excited to get back into this. I'm gonna try to get definitely past halfway today. This book is 250 pages ish. I don't know if I already said that, but yeah, so I'm hoping to finish it. And I keep saying that I probably won't, but to be honest, I have nothing else going on today, so I actually might. It's very possible, unless I get super bored by it. Then I might finish it tomorrow. I don't know, we're gonna see. It's all up in the air. Now my dog's right here, so I'm gonna show you some videos of him because he's cute. So this is Corbin. I showed you a video of Sasha the other day, but I never actually showed Corbin, I don't think. So I was gonna get up and get a closer shot of him, but he's walking away from me now. He's 3 years old. But here he comes. He's my little buddy. And he's so handsome. I always love when people show their pets in their reading vlogs and videos and stuff, so I thought I would share my doggies with y'all. But yeah, that's about it right now. I'm gonna go back into reading. What's up? Okay, I just got to page 102, and I'm really enjoying this so far. It's really interesting. It gives you a side of World War II and Nazi Germany that I really haven't been introduced to before in any historical fiction. Characters are really good. They're really good, like really in-depth, like 3-dimensional characters, like really good characters. I'm really enjoying it right now, but I think I'm gonna take a break and edit this vlog for a little bit so that I don't fall too behind on it, and that's the plan for right now. Really nothing has changed since I last talked. So I've decided what I'm gonna do is start Women in Power by Mary Beard and see how that goes. I'm feeling a little like I want to keep reading this. I think it would be more efficient if I start a new one, just because I can feel myself getting kind of drained by this book, and I want to be able to kind of break it up, you know, so I don't get tired of it and feel like not reading it anymore. So I'm gonna start Women in Power by Mary Beard. This was my choice for a book that is in a genre that you want to read more of. This is nonfiction. So basically I'm gonna start this. I'm really excited about it. It is only 107 pages, but also there's pictures, so that's really fun. It's really tiny. It's a tiny book. I love tiny books. Tiny books are so much fun, and I'm like just really excited for this book. I think this is gonna be the exciting thing that happens today, is we're gonna learn about women in power. If that's not exciting to you, then you don't know what exciting is, my dude. I feel real tired right now. I had the craziest dream last night, y'all. It was like a 4-hour dream. It started in my grandma's house. The middle part was about transferring ancient Egyptian ruins to a cave. And then the last part ended in a BJ's setting. Which I don't know if BJ's is everywhere. It's like Costco. It's like a big store that is like, it's like a warehouse store where you can buy things in bulk. And that's where it ended. Also, Dumbledore was there. So get much sleep last night because I was transferring ancient Egyptian ruins to a cave system. So basically, now I'm gonna go read this book. I'm gonna hop in from time to time and tell you fun facts about women in power. And that's gonna be the exciting thing that happens today. Alright, see you then. Okay, so I actually got really sucked into this book, and I'm on page 75 now, and I haven't been on here to say anything. So I wanted to share a couple of my favorite things that I've read so far. The first one, I found it. Okay, so basically this book focuses on the separation between women in power and the ways that women are literally silenced, and like where that comes from, like the history of that kind of. So one of the ways she was talking about the problem with women not being heard as much as men is because speaking in like a political or authoritative sense is like considered a male trait or like a masculine trait. So people think women's voices aren't, like in themselves, just having a woman's voice, a higher pitched voice, isn't as authoritative and shouldn't be as much listened to because it's a woman's voice. And by saying like people think that, it's like a subconscious thing, and it dates back to like ancient Greek and Rome history. But she talks a lot about how this kind of idea of like women not seeming authoritative or to be in positions of power or importance still applies to current day. And so as an example of this, which I thought was really interesting, is she talked about how there are more women in powerful positions than there were 10 or 50 years ago. There is still a clear minority, but it is more. But the basic premise of this is that our mental cultural template for a powerful person remains resolutely male. Wow, I can't talk. So basically what she's saying here is like our image of a powerful occupation or powerful person, the first thing that we imagine is a male. So if we close our eyes and try to conjure up the image of a president or a professor, what we see is not a woman. And that is true even if you are a woman professor. Even for me, like thinking like doctor, professor, president, immediately my mind goes to a man. The cultural stereotype is so strong that at the level of those close your eyes fantasies, it is still hard for me to imagine me or someone like me in my role. And this is Mary Beard talking, not me. I put the phrase cartoon professor into Google UK images, cartoon professor, to make sure that I was targeting the imaginary ones, the cultural template, not the real ones. So what she's saying here is like, I don't know if this needs interpretation, but like what she's saying here is she's using the word cartoon professor to kind of make sure that it zeroes in on a cultural impression of what a professor should look like rather than the reality, to show how we culturally approach positions of power. So one of the first 100 that came up, out of the first 100 pictures, so she Googles cartoon professors. Out of the first 100 images, there's only one depiction of a female professor, and it is Professor Holly from Pokemon Farm. I don't know what Pokemon Farm is or who Professor Holly is, which is stupid, because that should have been the first professor. There was another thing that I wanted to talk about. This book talks a lot about ancient Greek and Rome and how that originated a lot of our ideas on speech and oration. I don't know if that's a word, like orating. So it talks a lot about myths and also like great thinkers of ancient Greek and Rome. So this wasn't what I was looking for. What am I looking for? Gosh, I'm so lost. This book is very interesting. I will say. Oh, I remember the other thing I was originally going to say. This was at the very beginning of the book. This book isn't that long. Why is it so hard for me to find things? I should have tabbed this. I've been annotating it inside of the book, but I haven't been tabbing it. Okay, I'm gonna face this way. Okay, so she's talking about a show called Question Time. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's a show. The range of topics discussed on this show is usually fairly mainstream male political. So there was a commentator on the show who wanted to create a small, lighthearted competition for the most stupid women who appeared on Question Time. So then she's saying this reveals another cultural connection, that unpopular, controversial, or just plain different views, when voiced by a woman, are taken as indications of her stupidity. It's not that you disagree, it is that she is stupid. Sorry, love, you just don't understand. I've lost count of the number of times I've been called an ignorant moron. I just want to take a moment and say this has happened to me so many times in my life. I consider myself a fairly educated person. I read a lot. I guess that doesn't necessarily, connect to how smart you are or your intelligence, but like I consider myself a fairly educated person. I mean, I feel like I have a reasonable amount of evidence to support that claim. I have a 4.0 GPA. Like I do very well in my classes. Like I feel like I have a reason to believe that I'm an intelligent person. I try to, diversify my reading so that I'm reading from all different genres, all different perspectives and things like that. I keep up with the news. But I have been told a countless number of times that I'm wrong about something because I disagree with what mainstream media says. I have been in groups of people who have told me that my facts are wrong because it's not what they and their group agree on and what the general consensus is. Or sometimes I'll be in like a review and I'll bring up something that I've been reading about or something that I heard about that is like this new idea that is something that is like very different, or like I take a lot of gender studies classes. I'm a gender studies minor. I find that really interesting, but it does prompt a lot of thought processes and conversations that people aren't used to bringing up. And so when I bring those up, sometimes people are just like, you don't understand. Like you don't have all the information. Like you're just wrong. It's like there's not even like a foundation for me being wrong. It's just that I couldn't possibly be right. And it's very frustrating. It's very demeaning, and I don't appreciate it at all. It's so frustrating because then at the same time, you know what? At the same time, I've seen my male friends bring up ideas or conversations that are a little bit like out there, and everybody be like, oh yeah, let's have this discussion. Let's really dive into this. And I'm like, I feel like I'm bringing up equally important conversation pieces that have just as much evidence or are just as important to discuss, but because I'm the one who brought them up, they're not taken as seriously. Does anybody else experience this, or is this just me? I don't know. I was about to say, maybe it's my fault, but it's not! I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that maybe I'm the one who's bringing up uncomfortable topics, but topics about gender studies and about the, wage gap or class divide or racism, those aren't uncomfortable topics. Those are important topics that need to be discussed. So in conclusion, I don't know what my conclusion is. My conclusion is this book is very powerful, and I think that more people should read it. I haven't finished it yet, obviously. I'm only on page 75. I have about 25 more pages to go. I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought I would. I knew it would be powerful, so I'm not surprised about that. But it is taking a large focus on, like, ancient Greece and Roman thought and how it has influenced our society today. And I think I've actually looked at that quite a bit in, like, my studies and stuff like that. So, and, like, the origins of, like, silencing women, which is something that I've already looked at quite a bit in my lifetime. So it's not like super riveting for me, but it definitely would be for somebody who has never looked at that before, and it is bringing up ideas and examples from that discourse that I haven't heard before. So it is very interesting, but I would like to see a little bit more of modern examples of silencing women and what we can do about that, and possibly the rest of this book will be focused on that. I really don't know. I will come back in a little bit and tell you my thoughts on this book, and yeah. Okay, I'm actually not done with the book. I said the next time I would talk to you was when I was done with the book, but I found this really cool passage that I wanted to share. So, in this part of the book, she's talking about ways that women in power survive being silenced and how they still find ways to exert their power despite the ways in which the system tries to oppress them. And she's saying that we need to, like, create change in order to solve this problem. We can't just be patient. He said, okay, patience isn't the answer, even though gradual change will certainly take place. So, like, gradual change, obviously, like, change will come if we just wait for it, just based on, you know, the ways that we'll, like, hopefully improve ourselves. And then she says we should congratulate ourselves for the revolution that we have all women and men brought about. So, like, women earning the right to vote. But with that said, now I'm quoting her, but with that said, if I'm right about the deep cultural structures legitimating women's exclusion, gradualism is likely to take far too long, for me at least. We have to be more reflective about what power is, what it is for, and how it is measured. Now this is the part. To put it another way, if women are not perceived to be fully within the structures of power, surely it is power that we need to redefine rather than women. Just, if I had another hand right now, if my other hand was holding this camera, I'd be clapping. Yes, this is the problem. That we expect women to change in order to fit the structures of power that have been put into place hundreds of years ago instead of changing the structures of power. Yes! Yes. The system needs to change, not the people being oppressed in the system. Yes. Okay, now I'm actually gonna finish this book. Okay, so I just finished Women in Power. It was very good. I am probably going to give it 4 stars, probably closer to 4.5, but freaking Goodreads says 9.5 stars. So I will probably give it 4, only because some of the language was a little bit inaccessible, and I really like when authors, especially nonfiction, allow their work to be very accessible to all readers, so that all readers have the opportunity equally to learn regardless of the education that they've had in the past. And perhaps this is just how she speaks and how she writes, and that's totally fine, but I thought it was a little bit inaccessible at certain points, as well as I thought it just wasn't really what I thought it was, which, like, I'm not going to judge it too harshly for that because obviously that's not her fault. But I was a little bit let down by it. I really wanted it to focus a little bit more on current issues, and it really focused on historical precedents that were set. But there was one more thing that I wanted to highlight from this book, and at the end, in the afterword, she talks about how difficult it is for women to not only get into positions of power but to retain those positions of power. She talked about, I don't know what this is, the Labor MP. I don't know what that is. I think it has something to do with police, but basically there was a Labor MP, I'm sorry, I don't know who that is, named Diane Abbott, and she made a mistake. I don't know. The example itself is not the point. It just is a foundation for the point. So I might not get this totally accurate, but there were two Labor MPs. There's 2 of them, Diane Abbott and Tory Boris. They both made mistakes, but she was basically like crucified for her mistake. And he was like, oh, he was given like a little warning, and they were like, oh, do better next time. But Abbott's attacker, who's the woman, undermined her and made sure that she did get it next time. I believe she was reelected, but the aim of her attackers was to make sure she didn't get next time. So that was just basically an example of double standards, but what it revealed was not only that women should be able to have access to these positions just as much as men, that we need to find more space to defend women's right to be wrong. So basically, in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is women need to be allowed to be wrong in some situations and not be crucified for that. Men are wrong all the time, women are wrong all the time, but I've noticed this many times in my own life that I find it so difficult to speak in some situations because I'm so worried about being wrong. And even if I've done my research, I know that I will be seen as less credible if I am even wrong on one occasion. That is a complete double standard that I've noticed in my own life. So that's pretty much it. I think that's probably going to be the end of today's vlog. I'm kind of tired. I'm going to probably read maybe one more chapter of this tonight and then leave the rest for tomorrow. I didn't get exactly halfway through, but I'm not upset about that. I did finish a whole other book. even if it was only around 100 pages. That's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have been enjoying these daily vlogs. I've been trying my best to make them interesting and fun and things like that. So I hope you're enjoying them, and let me know how many books you have read so far for the reading brush. The reading brush? The reading rush. And what prompts you've completed. That's literally about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.